Today on Things Green.
Am I going to need a fishing license today?
Not today. We're going to be taking a look at the Santa Ana River, but we're not actually going to be catching any fish.
This is reclaimed water.
It's treated water that's been treated to certain standards. It can be stormwater flows. So this cart that we're nicknaming Cart Graveyard, because there's a couple carts, they might have come off the cliff here.
We took a detour hike where we climbed down hills, crossed creeks, and battled the brush.
That's today on Things Green.
Things Green is brought to you in part by
Super Thrive, the original vitamin solution. 50 vitamins and nutrients. Vitamins for trees, plants, and lawns. More information at superthrive.com.
Southland Sod Farms, creators of genuine marathon sod. Pre-grown tall fescue grass. More information at sod.com.
Dram Garden Products, makers of watering tools since the 1940s. Committed to saving water with handheld tools, hoses, and water wands. More information at dram.com.
For nearly 90 years, the Bonide family has provided solutions to lawn and garden pest problems. Whether it's an insecticide, weed killer, fungicide, or plant care product, Bonide products will provide you the best solution to your lawn, garden, or home pest problem.
With continued support from Cole Tomato Cages, planting, growing, and harvesting. More information at colemetals.com.
And by Sustainable Environmental Education, creating school-based, youth-led service learning projects. More information at seeusonline.org.
Santa Ana Watershed Project Authority. I don't know what they do over here, but they invited me to go on a river walk. I like rivers and I like walking. So let's see what's in store for us today. Okay, so I really don't know what to expect today. All I know is that I'm definitely not dressed to go into a river. Okay, I'm a little perplexed over here. Am I gonna need a fishing license today?
Not today.
Not today. Okay, good. Why not?
Well, we're going to be taking a look at the Santa Ana River, but we're not actually going to be catching any fish.
Okay, now why do we want to look at the Santa Ana River?
Well, the Santa Ana River supports a fish species called the Santa Ana sucker. It's one of only 3 native fish species that lives in the river anymore. And it's an important species. It's an indicator of the health of the river. And our river walk is a way that we can assess what's happening with the species and how its habitat's doing. We've got a whole bunch of volunteers here today. They're going to be measuring the channel width, the channel depth, the substrate, so like the gravel, the cobble, the boulders, and looking at the vegetation along the banks. And we can also, while we're doing the river walk, look and see if there's anything that's degrading the habitat, like if we have off-road vehicles, if we have trash in the river, things like that. So.
Okay, so once we identify all these things, what good is this all information for?
Well, so my organization, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, we're the organization that's charged with protecting the species, and we partner with all the people you're going to meet today to help recover the species. And so we can use the information we collect on the Riverwalk to make management decisions about what needs to change. How much water, whether or not we need to do some more trash cleanup, whether the water quality is looking good. So we can do a general assessment of how the species is doing.
Well, I definitely look forward to helping out today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Christine filled me in on why I'm here today. So I joined all the other volunteers for a mandatory orientation given by this guy, Ian, who gave us a better idea of what we can expect.
Probably won't be large flood flows, but still there are portions of the river that narrow, the channel narrows, and they do move swiftly. We recommend that you don't walk right next to people because there is soft segments and quicksand out in the river.
Wait, narrow passages, rushing water, and quicksand? I probably should have read the brochure they sent me.
So you don't want to walk right next to somebody because if there is quicksand, you'll both go down. So walk closely, but not too closely.
So we broke off into groups, and I made sure that Ian was in my group. I figured he would have the best chance of rescuing me if I start drowning. Before we head out there, I think we should talk to a biologist to see if we can learn any last-minute info. Is a biologist like a scientist?
It's exactly like a scientist.
No kidding!
Yeah.
Aren't you supposed to like wear these coats and have pocket protectors and stuff like that? Because you look too cool for that.
Some people do, but not today.
And not today, we're definitely not doing that because we're going to be out and about digging around in some mud in the water and such. So you're going to be out there with us today getting all dirty and grimy and counting fish and all kinds of neat things, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. What can we expect when we get out there?
So the Riverwalk is a very interesting event. So we usually have volunteers from different local agencies and organizations that want to get out of the office and start working with the species that they write a lot of plans for. So what you can expect for the day is being very wet, very dirty, and walking for a long time in sand. But you're collecting great habitat information for the sucker. So we're able to get certain data sets that will help us estimate what the population could be for the sucker based on the habitat that we're finding out there.
Now, is it possible to have too many of them?
Not right now. Unfortunately for the Santa Ana sucker, they are federally listed as threatened.
Wow.
So the suckers actually can only be found in the Santa Ana River, the Los Angeles River, and the San Gabriel River, and their numbers are significantly depleted.
Wow, so fish fry today is kind of out of the question.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll make sure we keep that under control. Good, it's a good thing I'm a vegetarian then.
Right.
Yeah, so when I come walking up, those fish are going to be smiling at
right.
me like, you're okay.
Exactly.
Well, good. Okay, well, I look forward to bumping into you out there. We're going to be measuring, we're going to be doing stuff. It seems like it's going to be really exciting.
It'll be good.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
A short 5-mile drive to the river end, we couldn't find the river. We took a detour hike where we climbed down hills, crossed creeks, and battled the brush. Needless to say, we were off to a pretty rough start. After about a mile of hiking, we finally found the river. And boy, it was a beautiful sight.
We're looking at the Santa Ana River right now, at an important river crossing where people drive over the river probably every day on their way to work. This is Van Buren Bridge, and it's a major thoroughway into the city of Riverside. And as you can see, there's water in the river right here. And there's pretty much water year-round in the Santa Ana River at this portion because we're right downstream from a water purification plant that treats wastewater and purifies it to certain standards that are required under state and federal law. So most of the time when you drive to work and you look over the bridge, you'll see water in the river and habitat and riparian vegetation growing around it.
The team didn't waste any time as they jumped right in. They had a lot of work ahead of them. Okay, be careful where you walk because we definitely don't want to do anything that is against the law. And we've got permission to come out here because we're part of this whole experiment and the counting of the fish and looking at this beautiful river. Now, they told us to take some precautions before we take the hike down here. Let me tell you, it was a hike. Okay, first and foremost, they want us to wear a hat. Be certain you're outside, the sun rays, the bouncing off of the water and all that, you could get burned. So what we're gonna wanna do is make sure that we have plenty of suntan lotion going on over here. Get it everywhere, the back of your neck, your ears. Like I said, the sun's gonna bounce back and you're gonna get messed up there. Next thing I like to do is that we're going to take this parakeeto. Parakeeto is a bunch of herbs and things of that nature that's inside of here, which help ward off any mosquitoes and any insects. So we're gonna take and do this, put it all over. This is gonna be sloppy here today, guys. It really is, but it's a lot of fun. Neat guys over there that we're working with. Everybody's a volunteer. And yes, the thing we have to kind of remember that this is a volunteer kind of thing, right? Now, the last thing I wanna do is I wanna put water shoes on because we're gonna be working in the water. So check this out, take my shoes off. Look at these socks, are they too cool or what? All right, we're gonna take these off, we'll put our water shoes on. Yeah, it looks like I need to get a pedicure and roll up my shoes, and before you know it, we're gonna get inside of that water. Start counting some fish and doing some good work. How does that sound? All right, let's go. Additional tools that we need for this measuring over here is really important. So what are some of the things that we have to do when we're out here?
Yeah, the basics are you need a backpack and a water bottle. And then in terms of gathering data, you need these equipment that each of our crew members are holding. Do you guys want to talk about why we have those devices and what we're doing with them?
Yes. So we have this tape measure. Basically, we were trying to measure the width of the river. So it's all in metric system, and we record everything out in their paper.
Now, why would we do everything in metric?
That's what the Fish and Wildlife Service recommended we do, and we've been doing that for about 10 years. So just it makes sense to keep repeating the same method.
A little bit more precise.
Yeah.
So what do we have here now?
So basically we'll be recording every measurement that we take at each point of the riverbed. The first one would be our left and right banks and the center measurements in meters and centimeters. We'll also be measuring the substrate levels in percentages just to indicate what is good for the suckerfish and what will maybe be an advantage to their habitat.
And finally, something that
this is a meter stick, which I think most people are familiar with, I hope. And we have to find the max depth of the channel in which we're measuring. And then we also take the depth of the center, the left, and the right just to see, you know, how much depth there is for the Santa Ana sucker.
All right, looks like we're in the middle of the river now, aren't we?
We are.
This is pretty exciting, guys. Okay, you called this a high river earlier, right? That's because it's rushing so fast.
Tyler Beach.
What's that?
Tyler Beach.
Is that what this area is?
That's what she said it was called.
Oh, this is Tyler Beach. Okay, so we're here in the river. Now, you said this is reclaimed water.
It's treated water that's been treated to certain standards. Most of it. Some of it can be stormwater flows that runs off of people's yards, say when their sprinklers are running, or it can be upwelling groundwater.
Well, I have to tell you, it is just crystal clear. There's no stench, no smell. Beautiful, enjoying this. In the areas where the water isn't moving so quickly, we see fish all over the place. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons why we're here.
That is, yes.
Okay, so he's got the tape measure. What are we gonna do?
We're going to measure the width of the river. Nick, do you mind grabbing that across?
No,
Great.
no, not at all.
So we're going to measure the width of the river. We do this at a set number of data points each year, usually in October. And this is usually the first measurement we do, is measuring the width of the river. And we do it using the metric system.
Okay, now how far am I supposed to go?
You should walk all the way to where a small fish would be able to walk, or would be able to swim. Yeah.
All right.
So why October, just out of curiosity?
It's after bird season, and it's usually generally cooler. To do it during the middle of summer would be pretty hot. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel that. I just wasn't sure if there was more of a
And we don't want to do it when it's raining too much as well. So yeah.
We'd end up getting washed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're here. Oh man, that is really going. So if I was a little fish, I'd be about this far away.
That's correct.
I think I'd be this far away. Mm-hmm. Okay, what kind of reading you have over there?
7.7 meters.
All right, 7.7 meters. We're going to take that. We're going to put that inside of our counting over there.
You want me to do the
And yeah, we're going to get that. So is that the only measurement we're taking here?
We usually string it, keep it across, and then we have use the meter stick to measure the depth in the center.
Okay.
And then the right and left bank.
All right, nice.
Sometimes when the flow is flowing this high, we need two people because, as you can see, it's pretty hard to hold the meter stick.
Look at that,
down.
man. That's going down. Okay, so we're going to go about the top of the water then, right?
That is.
About 46, 45. It keeps washing up.
Yeah.
So we're about 45 centimeters, right?
45.
And then?
We measure 4 inches from either bank.
All right, so 4 inches from that other bank, we're going to come in this way, and then It's basically telling us how high things have gone, how low things have gone. Now look, this is really interesting. I don't know if you can tell by the sound, but the river has slowed down tremendously just now. And it got almost quiet.
17 millimeters, centimeters.
17 centimeters.
So we went from 45 to 17.
Which is odd
Over
because
there.
the edges are deeper.
Yeah, okay, so we want to measure this side as well?
Yes.
Okay, do we need this any longer?
No, if you just stay there, we'll know where the general
Oh,
area is.
I see, okay. And that's another reason why we're working as a team like this, isn't it? All right, so we're gonna be in this general area, and we're gonna about 4 inches away.
From the ledge.
Okay.
So we've got about 24.5 centimeters.
Let's see, let's see if we can get the camera to see that. Is that about right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 24.5 centimeters or so. And that's gonna be logged inside the book. And then because this is an exact spot where the GPS told us to do it last year, we do it again in the same area.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, that way we have comparable data from one year to the next. So we make these cool map products where every year you see a change in basically the score of the river. How sandy it was, how much rock and cobble was on the river, and how much things a suckerfish would care about are at that particular spot.
Okay, well we've got...
The max depth would be like...
Yeah.
The max depth is going to be right in this main stream flow. I'm not going to take it because it's really hard to do.
You need a kayak and somebody paddling at full paddle.
You could literally ride through here.
Oh yeah, it'd be fun.
On a boat.
Okay, we've you know, you mentioned something pretty interesting earlier.
Yeah.
We have different terrain. When we were in the meeting earlier inside the office there, you said we'd be coming across that.
Right.
So here we've got
smooth rock.
We have smooth rock, so
Yeah.
we've got rocks out in this area.
Right.
Okay.
That's that size we usually, in the scientific community, we call that gravel.
Okay, so this is a gravel. All right, and then when you come over here to the edges, we notice that it kind of changes slightly, actually quite a bit. We lose the big gravel, and all of a sudden we have this right here.
Yeah, this would actually be sand. I thought it was cobble for a second.
Okay.
But right here, what we got, even though it's flat, and this actually looks like it's from somebody's roof, but something of this size would be cobble, size of a softball.
Okay, so just in this area, we actually have 3 different types of terrain that's happening.
Yeah.
Okay, and I noticed that you put that back about where it was before.
Yeah.
Okay, so this way we just let the nature take it and do what it has to.
Right. Yeah.
Has to do. So.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so we're constantly looking at the GPS stuff, so which is, you know, really kind of a cool thing when you put it all together.
Right.
That's very exciting. So we've got the measurement from there. We saw that, and then we were also noticing that some of the fish have certain things that they come around and certain things that they don't.
Right, right. Yeah, they're not the Santa Ana suckerfish is not known to feed on filamentous algae, which is kind of like, you know, spaghetti. And I think the reason for that, it grew up in this watershed and in this river, and this algae wasn't around when it was, adapting. But what it was adapting to was kind of a carpet algae that grows on rocks, and it uses its downward-facing mouth to scrape that algae off.
Very good. All right, let's get back to work.
Cool.
Oh, look at that!
You guys consent?
The low phase. Those are frogs in the happening.
Wait, really?
Yeah, tadpoles.
That's what a frog is gonna be.
Yeah, we've got tadpoles in here, I believe, as well as mosquito fish, Santa Ana sucker, another local fish called arroyo chub, catfish, some catfish.
Really?
I believe largemouth bass as well. Those last two are invasive, so introduced from outside this system.
Now, this little suckerfish is actually on the endangered species list.
That's right, it was listed in 2000, and it was listed as a threatened species, which is a legal term as endangered under the act.
You know, we had somebody from U.S. Fish and Game. I should have asked her what the fine was for nabbing something like that. It's got to be.
I'm not sure. Yeah, that's a good question.
I bet it's really, really awesome. So you never want to come over here and thinking that you have any kind of bait that you can use or anything like that. Now, one of the things that I had seen in the video that was in the introduction room you took everybody in, you actually had somebody standing this way, taking a photo, standing this way, go this way,
Right.
go this. So we're getting it from all angles.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
That's a really neat thing.
Mhm.
And then afterwards, all that data is going to be actually published.
Right, it's published in something we call the Riverwalk Atlas, and it compares each year kind of the habitat score per data point that we take. So it's a giant map showing the points in green, red, and yellow, and showing how good the habitat is for that particular day that we collected data on. It's available at sapa.org/sucker. Sucker being for the suckerfish.
You were talking at one time that there's certain things that the fish will go to that you have to look
Right.
out for.
Right, yeah, usually when the water is moving real fast like that and there's kind of an outcropping, you'll get swift flowing water and that'll cut out the sand, really flush the sand out, and you'll get gravel like this exposed. And on top of that, you've got some nice shade here, and the sucker is known to enjoy temperatures around 72 degrees. So if this is around 72 degrees, it might enjoy that habitat.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm loving the sheerness of that rock.
It's pretty cool, yeah.
I feel like I'm a million miles away.
Mhm.
That's what's really neat about
Right.
this. Now, I know that people can go on nature walks and there's greenery trails and stuff
Mhm.
like that in their own neighborhoods. We would recommend that they would do things like that to get
Mhm.
out. And then, of course, to find out what kind of things that you guys are doing. 'Cause
Right.
That's pretty exciting.
Right.
You know, getting out here, you get to wear your finest like that, show your knobby knees off, and
Get them
and,
some sun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you get a little sun for the whole deal.
Yeah.
Well, with that, we got to get back to work. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of
and
course.
you know, can I bring my kayak?
Yeah, with the proper permits, you can.
With the proper permits. Well, it looks like our GPS over here is telling us that we got to just keep on working. So let's go. Let's hop to it.
Sounds good.
Thanks a lot.
So this cart that we're nicknaming Cart Graveyard because there's a couple carts, they might have come off the cliff here, but it might actually be forming some habitat because you see the flow meander to either side and undercut possibly some gravel under there. What the high flow does when it grazes off of structures like this is it uncovers gravel that's underneath the sand. And the sucker is not as much a fan of sand because the algae it eats on doesn't grow on sand, but it does grow on larger, not quite larger, but large enough pieces of gravel and what we call cobble and boulders. Look at that. Yeah, I just pulled this out of this island right here and it looks like it was just cut recently. There might have been a group, a local agency, state agency that came through and chopped off or cut this vegetation.
Well, this pretty much answered my question why we start from upstream and work down instead of backwards. This is really hard work. My hat's off to everybody who gets involved and volunteers with this project or any kind of project in your community. We almost got killed today doing all that filming.
Not me, you.
Yeah, that was pretty tough. Did you see that I almost bit the dust on that first hill?
Yeah.
And what I started to do to stop myself, I figured, well, I used to snow ski. Let me put that into practice. So I started jumping like this back and forth, and that one guy, Peter, I mean, his eyes just got this big that I was going.
Oh yeah. He wanted to keep taking the box from you.
Yeah.
He wanted to carry it.
Today we went out and surveyed the Santa Ana River to look at the depth and the width for Santa Ana sucker.
When you do a bioassessment like this, it will determine in that reach of river basically how habitable it is for different species.
It's the most consistent, long-running data set that we have in terms of Santa Ana sucker suitability of the habitat, and there's a lot of important decisions made off of the data that we collect in this process.
For a volunteer program, they did a really good job lining everybody out up front, telling what's expected of them, having all the materials we needed to do data collection. And so, I believe we got the data they were looking for, and we got to see a part of the river that you never get to see if you're just driving by on the freeway.
We know that it's been dry season lately. There wasn't enough rain. So we're expecting that there's a lot of sediment deposit as well as some or less meandering of the river segment. However, we didn't expect to have alteration or like drastic alteration at some point of the river. Sometimes it shift to the point where we didn't expect to shift, and some segment remain as is.
What we measured is width, depth, and the amount of canopy and what the substrate is, which is, you know, the bottom, what the bottom looks like, because cobble is actually the preferable substrate because it has a lot of surface area for bugs, and if there's bugs, then there's fish, and so it's a good habitat.
Yeah, I mean, it was the first time I've been out on the Santa Ana River, so it was really cool to see what it actually looks like. And my legs are really sore now.
It was better than I expected. I got a good reach, I got to see pigs, it was beautiful, and I had some newcomers, so it was fun. Pigs, wild pigs, yes.
I've been doing this many years ago, but time to revisit the old fun in the field.
Don't let the grass grow under your feet, as we're going to be breaking brand new ground. Whether you have one small houseplant or acres of land, you're gardening. Excuse me. Ah! Isn't that a great thing? Getting your hands all dirty and growing things, it's so exciting. Well, we'll be talking about how to make your plants look the best that they possibly could. Don't beat around the bush. For whatever's on your gardening mind, join me here on Things Green.
Things Green is brought to you in part by
Super Thrive, the original vitamin solution. 50 vitamins and nutrients. Vitamins for trees, plants, and lawns. More information at superthrive.com.
Southland Sod Farms, creators of genuine marathon sod. Pre-grown tall fescue grass. More information at sod.com.
Dram Garden Products, makers of watering tools since the 1940s. Committed to saving water with handheld tools, hoses, and water wands. More information at dram.com.
For nearly 90 years, the Bonide family has provided solutions to lawn and garden pest problems. Whether it's an insecticide, weed killer, fungicide, or plant care product, Bonide products will provide you the best solution to your lawn, garden, or home pest problem. With continued support from Cole Tomato Cages, planting, growing, and harvesting. More information at colemetals.com. And by Sustainable Environmental Education, creating school-based, youth-led service learning projects. More information at seeusonline.org.